So rallies are all the rage in Washington, D.C.
Yes.
You know, Glenn Beck had a big one. And Jon Stewart from The Daily Show and Stephen Colbert from whatever his show is called had a rally over the weekend.
Although, face it, Stephen Colbert is like the other guy from Wham at this point, isn't he? Or,
And it was mostly comedy and music. But then Jon Stewart gave a big speech at the end about how Washington, D.C. is broken. Nobody is willing to talk to each other. We all demonize each other. In the actual politicians and the cable news channels, all we do is call each other names and evil. And then, but out in the real world, we work together every day.
yes.
And, you know, have coworkers with different political ideologies, but seem to believe that their kids shouldn't be taken from them, and it's okay to work in a cubicle next to them.
Right.
You wouldn't get that from cable news or whatever, necessarily.
Right.
But I just wonder what you think about that. You know, it's. Well, I don't know. I don't know how we got where we are. I don't know if we'll come out of it.
We'll come out of it one way or another.
There'll be a civil war between blue states and red states. Although, if you've ever seen that map, it's more county by county. So I guess we'll have county by county battles.
Wow, that's going to be tough to manage, isn't it?
House to house fighting, like they call it. Sounds pretty brutal.
Contra Costa County beset by, Yuba County, and they're joined by, I don't know, San Francisco County comes over the bridge, and then Orange County unleashes hell on Los Angeles County. Boy, that'd be complicated and bloody.
Well, I was watching,
I think I may head to Hawaii.
I was watching Bill Maher's show on HBO on Friday night, and I was amazed at how much more angry and hateful it is now than it used to be. But so is right-wing stuff. And I get uncomfortable when I'm around either group. Anytime anybody's going with the whole, boy, those people are still sure losers, stupid, evil people, aren't they? That political side. Right. I have no tolerance for that. It makes no sense to me. I don't get it.
Here's Paul in Fair Oaks. Hello, Paul. What's on your mind?
Yes, I was calling specifically concerning the question about how what we do in terms of our jobs, in terms of working together, is separate from our political lives.
Yeah.
And specifically, I was thinking how for our jobs, we tend to be, one, very focused on maybe one particular thing versus in politics, it's our sense of values, it's our sense of what we want to pass on to our children. Whereas in our jobs, even though we, have hopefully a belief in hard work and the American dream, I think that we just really separate maybe what we do from our home life, where a lot of people try to disregard it when they get home, or in a sense how a lot of the things that we deal with at work, if we're so focused on maybe our specific task, don't relate to other values that we have. Like I know at work, there's generally uncomfortable talk when you try to talk about things like politics or religion.
Well, sure, we don't have to work out abortion between the cubicles.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Paul,
but you do in government.
Yeah, and a good point. Thanks, Paul. That's what I was thinking when Jon Stewart was talking. It was very nice and eloquent, and I like Jon Stewart in a lot of ways. He's a very, very, very clever, smart guy, and very funny. But as soon as hot button issues come up at work, people get crazy. People get nuts. We work with each other pretty well as long as we can put aside all that stuff. But at a certain point, in government, at least to some extent, they have to deal with that stuff. Now, they don't have to deal with it when they're trying to decide where to build a damned reservoir or whatever. There's no reason Republicans and Democrats can't get together on where to build a reservoir and a couple of pipelines. I mean, that's inexplicable.
You don't think you would get the sense, though, from radio and cable news and the politicians themselves that you can't even talk to people of a different political stripe? You wouldn't even be able to work in the same business with them because they're so awful and different from you.
Yeah, I suppose. Depends what you watch.
And they famously don't even speak to each other anymore in Washington, D.C. You cannot even be seen at a restaurant with somebody from the other side.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's crazy. Horrible.
And that's not the way it's been in the past. I mean, there are enough political writers out there that are old enough who now say it's worse than it's ever been, that I believe that it's actually worse than it's ever been.
Well, right. People yelling at each other comes and goes, and that's fine. But if you don't have the underlying ability to communicate and work with each other at all, like humans, well, then we're screwed.
Well,
we're just doomed.
Underlying ability, there's not even an attempt. It's just not even on the table anymore.
Right. Right.
And how is that ever going to change?
I don't know.
George Bush went to Washington, D.C. saying he was going to change that. Couldn't. Barack Obama's going to Washington, D.C. to change that. He can't for whatever reason either. I think, I don't know why. And I don't know if it could ever go the other direction, but it's an odd circumstance.
You know,
You should see the clips that Jon Stewart played of cable news, and he had the Ed Schultzes of the world and the Sean Hannitys of the world. Some of the things people, you just take clips out of these shows, and you think, wow, that's just absolutely amazing.
Yeah. It's like if
I don't think it's helping us any.
You know what's funny is you look at like sports talk. I mean, if you love the Giants down there in Texas, they love the Rangers. Can you imagine if sports talk guys kicked it like political cable guys? And we're talking about Giants fans being despicable and hate mongers and just horrible humans. And I mean, it'd be laughable. It'd be silly.
Although it is similar in the fact that it's become it didn't used to be so angry. I don't know who invented the idea of angry sports talk, but you call up mad.
Oh, yeah.
And then you hate the player or the coach or the whatever all the time.
Those are stupid people.
Well,
those are almost always stupid people. The problem that I have with cable news is a lot of them are very smart people who are really, really angry.
Who are making a lot of money off of, I just don't know how this would ever change.
Yeah.
I suppose it will.
By the way, I have one more quibble with Jon Stewart, and this has bothered me for a very, very long time. And I've brought it up before.
His real name is Jon Lebowitz. That's what bothers you?
It's that he's very short. A short man has no right to tell me how to live my life. No. It's this. And even in his beautiful little eloquent speech, which I think was very nice, frequently the accusations against conservatives are that you're a racist, you're greedy, you're selfish, you're a hater and a bigot. And the accusations usually against the left is you're pushing us toward a political economic system that will damage the country. It's politics versus some sort of horrifying moral failure. What are we called by people who just can't stand our politics? All the time. Racists, bigots, selfish, whatever. Marxist is not equivalent to being a bigot. It's a person who believes that the economy should be centrally planned and most of people's needs should be taken care of by the government. So when Jon Stewart says, you've got to stop calling them racists and bigots, and you've got to stop calling them Marxists. Now, some of the Marxist rhetoric's a little overheated, but that bothers me. I don't think that balances. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Colbert had a guy on just the other night who stated, as a fact, the entire Tea Party movement is about race.
Right.
Because people can't stand having a black president.
Right.
Just stated it as it's obvious to everyone. Okay.
I got a question for you, Tea Partiers. If the next 13 presidents were going to be black, and you could trade that for a small federal government, low taxes, and get the hell out of our hair, would you take that deal? I sure would.
Yeah.
As long as they were good men or theoretically women.
Theoretically. Legally speaking.
Well, sure.
It's a possibility.
Sure.